So it's really an honor to be here and share my story and my family's story, and to facilitate this panel of amazing people. So next we'll hear from Yukiyo Kawano. She's a third-generation Hibakusha atomic bomb survivor, teacher, and artist whose work is very personal, reflecting lasting attitudes towards the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Since 2016, her project, Suspended Moment, has been honored by the New York Foundation of Arts. Yukiyo joins us today from her home in Portland, Oregon.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam, for sharing your story and for the introduction. As I understand deeper the nuclear story of America, I realize that it's essential to center the indigenous stories and talk about colonialism of America. The story you, from your point of view, I feel finally is giving Hiroshima, Nagasaki Hibakushas a chance to understand for what and by what they've been erased their whole existence 76 years ago. And Hanford, where your father and your brother were working and being exposed, as you talked about, produced plutonium for Fat Man bomb, which I spoke about during the Nagasaki commemoration on August 9th, 2021 in Richland, Washington, a bit town of Hanford workers. I have a video today that captured the art installation featuring a sculpture of a shape of the atomic bomb. We hanged it in front of Richland Community Center that day after the Nagasaki Day. The video is taken by Irene Rustic and Helke Franzen, a film team who are making Richland film to investigate the American nuclear narrative. Irene, can you please start the film and turn the sound all the way down? Thank you. Great. So this is the scene taken in Howard Armon Park. Howard Armon is the name of the settler who created the irrigation company to entice farmers to settle. And some of you know, I know Pam knows well, that this is a semi-desert land. So all the green that you see is artificial using the irrigation water system from Columbia River. The sculpture that Laura Feldman, a Hanford activist, and I are installing here, called A Little Boy Folded, is made of silk kimono worn by my grandmother in the 1940s in Hiroshima. A close shot, you will witness the hair that was embedded on the fabric, which suggests the DNA that I inherited from my late mother and from my grandmother's grandparents who were in Hiroshima on that day. So as Eileen is showing the film footage, I'd like to share my speech that I made during the Manhattan Project National Historical Park Nagasaki commemoration on August 9th, 2021. My name is Yukiyo Kawano. I was born and raised in Hiroshima, a third-generation survivor of the US atomic bomb. A third-generation survivor means it was my grandfather who was half a mile away from the detonation center on August 6, 1945. He survived the nuclear blast and found a way out. Later, my grandfather and grandmother had my mother, Kuniko. A third-generation survivor means it was my daily routine growing up to check with my mother and see how she was feeling each morning. It means I lost heart cancer in 2013, 67 years after the dropping of the US atomic bomb. Today, I live and work in Portland, Oregon, creating visual art that is influenced by my personal and family history. I have been making life-size replica of little boy and fat man by stitching together inherited kimonos with my hair. In making the piece, I imagine weaving the past and present, the human-caused disaster that changed our world forever, and yet we continue to examine what is human, because that is the only way that protects us from the future. Today, I am painfully aware that I spent my foundation years as a member of my country's majority, Japanese. The financial success of the Asian nation enabled my countrymen to foster their perpetrator colonizer mentality, while American occupation never really left Japan. My perspective in surviving Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Hibakusha at large is a product of this fabricated and opaque history. Then reality check hit me called COVID-19. As the death rate rises, the existing unsolved issues started to unfold. And each time an event reminds me of the racial indifference I share as part of my culture, I stumble and fall. Dwelling on my falling is a process that leads me to a more unclouded place where I will find myself to take risks. By confronting the horror of the war and my family's experience through my art, I ask myself a question as a granddaughter of a Japanese soldier who was deployed to China in 1937, the year of Nanjing Massacre, and again in Malay Peninsula in 1942. Grandfather told me when I was 10 that he won't share his survivor story of the US atomic bomb because he said there is no point to tell, that I can never understand him. Japanese violent history forever silenced him. In 2021, in my dwelling on my falling, the voice of grandfather in me recognizes that I am in pain 3 generations later. The act of racism in the war hurts my soul and threatens my body. My voice is no longer hidden, no longer abstract. After 3 generations of silence, I can finally say aloud that I've experienced the pain of my family's past. I also want to add a couple of points today. So the day I installed the little boy in Midstand, I was aware that I was standing on the land of genocide where the ethnic cleansing had happened. And by installing the image of the bomb that wiped out my city, I was able to articulate for the first time that it was the nuclear genocide that happened in 1945. It took me 75 years, 3 generations to untangle the rhetoric to see the crucial truth. And my second point is something I know Benedict will confirm for me in his talk of Atomic Energy Commission and their test called Project 4.1 later in the program, that I grew up looking up the hill of Hijiyama, the site where the misleading started. In 1946, the Atomic Bomb Casualty Commission, ABCC, was established, and all the health effects of radiation was studied only for its external exposure. My grandfather was one of the body that they examined. From them on, the ABCC and later the RERF, Radiation Effect Research Foundation, the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, continue dismissing and politicize Hibakusha's health effect caused by internal exposure of radiation. Today we are living under this nuclear legacy of deceiving and denial, which is essentially harming and repeatedly erasing the global Hibakusha communities. So today, I wanted to take this opportunity and state clearly that not seeing the whole map of the nuclear fuel chain from uranium mine to nuclear waste site is denying and erasing the most impacted communities who you are witnessing today. I thank you, and please remember to take a moment after this webinar to reflect and to remember us, 私たちを忘れないで. And to please consider giving a donation to the Marshallese Educational Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Yukiyo. Your artwork is beautiful. I wish I'd been in Richland to help you or watch. That was really moving. Next up, we have Eileen O'Shaughnessy.